Question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
And this is what I think, to the extent that there are folks who, by the way, may agree with the policies of Trump,
yes,
but don't want to vote for Trump. And those, you know some of those people. The reason that they don't want to vote for Trump is because they see either in his character or the people who seem to support him seem to be engaged in that or willing to engage in that, right? Because what you don't see, you don't go to other rallies for Harris or see in a Harris rally that kind of vitriol. It just you see. Look,
you don't?
I don't think you do.
Kamala Harris spends half her time talking about her rival as Hitler, after he's been. There have been attempts on his life, not once, but twice. She's doing it right now. Every Democrat official at these rallies refers to him as Adolf Hitler. You got Hillary Clinton running around there hawking her book that nobody wants to buy, frankly. And she's talking about how this is akin to 1939. Are you out of your mind? You want to talk about rhetoric? Let's compare. But let me go back. We are talking about the comments of a comedian.
Right.
And everybody's going to forget it in 48 hours. The real joke in America is the terrible policy of Kamala Harris. Let's talk specifically about Puerto Ricans in America today. Puerto Ricans have had to live under the same inflation unleashed by Kamala Harris. And that's not a joke, but they got to live with it. Puerto Ricans today are living under the same terrible border policies that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris unleashed. That's a terrible joke on the American people. We should be focused on that.
Byron, stop. He's already dead. That's Florida Congressman Byron Daniels absolutely wrecking a CNBC woke shill in real time on live TV. They're calling it the Elon effect, while CNBC and CNN are all doubling down on the bewilderingly stupid in the final week of this campaign. A number of legacy media outlets are recognizing the need to pivot, that a new era is rising, and that they had better change before they crumble into the dust of irrelevance. We're going to see the growing list of legacy media outlets that are running as far away as they can from Kamala, and what it all means for the rise of a new media era of the future. Hey, gang, it is I, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe. But before we dive in here, gang, let me ask you, what do you think you could do if you had the exact same insider trading information that Nancy Pelosi gets? Right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Politicians like Pelosi have had access to insider trading secrets for decades now. They know exactly what stocks to buy, when to buy them. But guess what? You and I actually have access to that very same inside information. Thanks to a little-known SEC database, we can see what and when corporate CEOs are buying up in real time, and then we get to piggyback on their trades to gain the same advantage for ourselves. So, gang, that's why you have got to click on that link below and sign up for a free training with me and my good friend Ross Givens. It's this Thursday, October 31st at 3 p.m. Eastern. Ross is an insider trading expert whose recommendations have led to investment returns of over 200%. Some have hit as high as nearly 1,500%. This could be absolutely amazing free training where you and I can learn how to trade with the exact same insider knowledge as these politicians, but legally and ethically. So don't wait. Seating registration is limited. So click on that link below right now and register today, and I'll see you for an event that promises to change your life. Click on that link below right now. USA Today is but the latest in the growing number of legacy media outlets that are turning their backs on the crumbling Kamala campaign. USA Today announced that they would not be endorsing any presidential candidate this year, but given the fact that their track record is one of endorsing the Democrat candidate in every single election without fail, this is being seen as yet the latest slight against a fledgling campaign that's seen by many analysts as going down in flames right before our very eyes. And it's not just USA Today. Their parent company, Gannett, they own over 200 papers and news outlets. None of them, not one, is offering an endorsement. Now, while USA Today may be their highest profile newspaper, it is but the latest major legacy media outlet that has refused to give the expected ceremonial nod of endorsing the Democrat presidential candidate. Just days ago, I know many of you know this, the Washington Post shocked Their ultra-left readership, the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos' propaganda rag, is also refusing to endorse Kamala, breaking 36 years of tradition of endorsing the Democrat candidate. The paper published an article written by two reporters saying that the editorial page staffers had already drafted an enthusiastic endorsement for Vice President Kamala Harris, surprise, surprise, and that the order to nix that endorsement came directly from the paper's owner himself, Jeff Bezos. Now, what's so fascinating here is that Bezos didn't even remotely hide his involvement in that. He just published an op-ed in the Post entitled, "The Hard Truth: Americans Don't Trust the News Media." Now, keep in mind, that's not coming from Fox or Newsmax. That's the owner of the Washington Post, ladies and gentlemen. The owner of the Washington Post is admitting Americans do not trust the Washington Post. Bezos cited the latest Gallup poll. It just came out last week. It was utterly devastating. It shows that media confidence today is at its lowest point ever. I'm going to show you that poll in a mere moment. And Bezos writes, after citing that poll, quote, "Most people believe the media is biased. Anyone who doesn't see this is paying scant attention to reality, and those who fight reality lose. Reality is an undefeated champion." I could make a woke joke right now, but I won't. "It would be easy to blame others for our long and continuing fall in credibility and therefore decline in impact, but a victim mentality will not help. Complaining is not a strategy. We must work harder to control what we can control to increase our credibility." And apparently Bezos is absolutely serious about this. It's reported that he wants the Washington Post, I kid you not, he wants them to hire more pro-Trump and more conservative writers and reporters. He wants a balanced paper. Well, what do you know? And so this is why he refused to allow them to patently shill for the Democrats by endorsing Harris. Now, it looks like Bezos is reading the tea leaves and recognizing what's about to come up here. There is going to be a massive political tsunami come November. Really, frankly, no matter what happens, this is going to be an astonishing election for Trump and the Republicans. And it is, again, no matter what happens, it is going to inaugurate a paradigm-shifting political epic. Or epoch, I guess I should say, and he does not want to be on the other side of that, the rotting, dilapidated, out-of-date establishment. Well, he doesn't want to be on that side. Well, needless to say, Bezos' appeal to his writers and his readership, his reporters, was met with typical woke scorn and derision. NPR is reporting that the Washington Post has been rocked by a tidal wave of cancellations from digital subscribers since Bezos stood in the way of the paper's endorsement. A reported, get this, 200,000 wokey wokes canceled their subscriptions by midday Monday. A near 10% of the paper's paid circulation of 2.5 million subscribers. Pretty substantial for sure. And the bleeding with their more rabid woke reader base has not stopped. We'll have to see how far the cancellations go by the end of the week. As for Washington Post staff, a number of writers, editors, board members, they've all resigned in protest, as they did over at the Los Angeles Times. You saw this, I'm sure. The LA Times is refusing to endorse a presidential candidate this year, which, of course, is just code for they've thrown Kamala under the bus. They always endorse the Democrat. And so they, too, are seeing a number of resignations among their writers and staff and editorial boards and, of course, subscribers. But I'm not quite sure where they all expect to go. The number of liberal media outlets is growing increasingly thin by the day. And that's because, as we've been tracking for years now on this channel, it's all because we're entering into a new era, what scholars call the network society, where because of the internet, Media outlets simply no longer have a monopoly or a privileged position or special access to information that's not available to anyone and everyone else. Because of the internet, because of our hyperconnectivity, we have access to the exact same kind of information that anyone at the Washington Post or CNN or the New York Times or Fox News, for that matter, has access to. And therefore, we, the people, are in a position now, and this is key, we, the people, are in a position now to what? Because we have access to the exact same information they do, we're in a position to fact check the self-anointed fact checkers. That's absolutely essential for everyone to get in order to understand this societal revolution that's taking place that we're all in the midst of right now. Because the legacy media no longer has a privileged position in relation to information acquisition, they can be fact-checked. Their reporting can be legitimately in real time fact-checked. And when you claim to be a reliable mediator of facts, but your supposed facts consistently turn out to be false, or even worse, blatant fabrications, blatant hoaxes, you inevitably and inexorably lose any and all credibility. And that is precisely what is happening to the legacy media. This is exactly what Jeff Bezos is talking about. And the numbers don't lie. According to Gallup, trust in the legacy media has absolutely imploded from a high of 70% in the 1970s to now just barely 30%. And that trust, by the way, is comprised almost entirely from Democrats. Republican trust in the media has plummeted to just 12%. And again, what's so important here to understand is that this implosion in trust has been inordinately influenced by the rise of the internet and the ability of the people to access comparable information and draw significantly different inferences and conclusions from that information that are drawn from the legacy media. And that's changing the plausibility of the business model of the media. So this is exactly what Elon is saying. Again, this is why they're calling it the Elon effect. Elon is arguing that citizen journalism is the future. And citizen journalism involves the aggregate voice of the people deciding the narrative of what is newsworthy, not a handful of editors-in-chief. An elite do not get to decide what is newsworthy. If a handful of editors-in-chief had a special privileged position to information acquisition, fine. Fine. They get to decide what is and what is not news because they alone have this unique, special, privileged position to information. But if that information has been democratized, if that information access has been decentralized and dispersed among the masses, then those masses will inevitably form a consensus on what is and is not news, not editors-in-chief. This is journalism of the people, by the people, for the people. We, the people, get to decide what is news, not a bunch of bought and paid for shills for the establishment like what we saw at the beginning of this video. That guy is a borderline illiterate. I forget his name at CNBC. Oh, the Democrats never descend into such vulgarities in their rallies. What are you talking about? They're calling the Republican candidate for president Adolf Hitler. How much lower can you possibly get? The days of the legacy corporatist media lecturing the nation on what we should believe are over. That is what Jeff Bezos is trying to get the Luddites at the Washington Post to understand. But it may be too late. As we enter a new media era, the legacy media may indeed be going the way of the dodo bird, which will be a much-deserved fate for such a blatantly partisan and corrupt industry.